So today we're going to talk about the quickest way to help our kids with these big emotions. All our kids express big emotions. It's normal. And that's what we're going to touch upon today. And what I'm going to share is a 5-step framework, which is the quickest way to help our kids when they're in those moments of strong emotions, sometimes in public. And often we feel lost as parents, not knowing how to handle it, how to help them calm down. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. But for now, I'm going to introduce myself. If you're new to the community, to the group, welcome. I want to personally welcome you in the group. I'm happy that you're here. And I hope that everything that I share will be of benefit to you. And so I'm a mom of 3 boys myself, who are 15, 13, and 9. And the reason I'm in front of you sharing all this information is because when I was a young mom, I wish I knew all of this information that I know today. So because it would have helped me so much on this journey, especially when I was going through the challenges and losing my cool all the time and not knowing what to do and blaming my kids and wanting them to change the behaviors, which was very frustrating for everybody. And I went on that journey professionally and personally to understand myself and understand what was going on with my children. And so what I'm sharing with you hopefully will help you bypass a lot of the time and the pain and the suffering that comes to figuring out when it comes to parenting and managing our triggers and emotions. So that's why I'm here with you today, sharing that information that will hopefully help you on your own journey and save you a lot of time and, the pain and suffering. So let's dive right into it. I'm not going to go in depth with what are emotions. If you want to know all the details about emotions themselves, there are other videos in the group that talks extensively on emotion. And hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining me here from Arkansas. So welcome. And anybody else who are live, please feel free to put that in the comments. So emotions are neutral and universal. They are our life energy, helping us respond to threats, when we're not safe, connect with others, which is important because as humans, we need connection. Help us increase our awareness of what is happening in the present moment and how to cope with challenges when they arise. So our emotions are the language of our body. That's how our bodies speak to us. So they're totally normal, and there's no right or wrong emotion, good or bad, even if we've labeled them this way according to what we're feeling inside. So totally normal to feel emotions, totally normal for our kids to feel emotions. And our children are born dysregulated. So know this. Our babies are born not knowing how to regulate emotions. That's how we're born. That's why babies cry, because when they're not feeling good, they're hungry, they are cold, they need comfort, they will cry. So we know that there's something that they're needing. Right? So they are born dysregulated for a good reason, because they don't know language yet. They can't talk. And so they need to communicate to us in a way. So through the feeling of their emotions, they will tell us what they need. And I know it is sometimes difficult because as parents, then we need to go figure out what is it that they need. But that's how our children are born, and our children learn how to regulate emotions as they grow up. right? So it is a skill that they need to learn, just like riding a bike, talking, they need to learn that skill. So another thing I want to touch upon, hello, Andrea. Good afternoon. I know you're tuning in here. It's afternoon your time. So welcome. So one thing I want you to know, if you already know that you have challenges feeling your own emotions, expressing your emotions, managing your emotions, and you find yourself most of the time you're either repressing or suppressing your emotions, and then boom, at times you will explode when your body can't contain it anymore. If you know that you fall into that category and you know that this is a habitual thing that's happening, I'm going to ask you to seek the help you need. Because if you don't know how to get in touch with your emotion, managing them, regulating them, then it's very, very hard to help your child with their emotion. Yeah. So after that, I want to be honest with you, and that's what I recommend. And so let's step into the 5-step framework to help our kids regulate their emotions. How can we do that? First thing is to create a safe space. When this is happening and they are exploding, the first thing we need to do as parents is to create a safe and accepting environment where our child can feel comfortable expressing their emotions without fear of judgment or punishment, right? So when a child is having all these emotions, they are having a tantrums or whatever it is, they are needing help in that moment because they're feeling it. So emotions are felt sensations in the body. And when they feel the felt sensation, they don't know what that's about often, and they don't know how to deal with it. So they're going to look out to us for us as parents to help them figure out what is going on and help them regulate. But if we get angry in those moments, and if we punish them as well in those moments, they're not going to feel good about it. And that's where, they will feel threatened and they won't feel safe in that instance if they're like, okay, I need the help, but I'm looking at mom or dad and they are really angry in this very moment, and I don't feel like they can help me. I don't think if they're angry, they know that we're not going to be able to help them in this situation. So they will feel this energetically from us, and that's where we can see the behavior and their dysregulation get worse and worse and worse, and they may then get really aggressive at times. So letting them know it's okay to feel and express emotions and providing that safe environment is key. They need to know that, okay, mom gets it, right? She gets it that I'm in a situation right now where I can't handle what I'm feeling inside. And she is keeping connection with me, meaning she's not disconnecting. She's not getting mad because I'm feeling this thing that I don't know what to do about, but she's there and I can feel it. And I know that she's there for me and she's going to help me out because she's calm and she knows what to do, right? So that's what our children need in those moments. So another thing is to, know for sure that when children are experiencing strong emotions, they are needing help from us. They are either afraid, they are hurt, they are angry, they're disappointed, they're not feeling safe for whatever reason, and they're needing help from us. So when a child is dysregulated and expressing and feeling strong emotions, what is happening is that their right brain that has to do with feeling emotions is very activated. And once they're feeling all these emotions, the emotions are already overwhelming their bodies. So in order for us to connect with our child in that moment is through the senses and not through logic, right? Because if we connect with their logic, they are not going to register the words we're saying because the emotions has overwhelmed their bodies. And so it's very important that we learn to connect through the senses. And how do we connect through the senses? We get down to their eye level, make eye contact, speak to them in a calming voice. So the words may not register, but our tone of voice is what's going to make a difference. If we're getting angry and we are losing it ourselves and we're frantic, they're going to feel this. Yeah, they may not register the words, but the tone of voice is going to tell them that. Give them a hug, rub their back if they're open to it, because physical touch can provide comfort and reassurance during emotionally challenging situations for our children. Yeah, so I'm sure we've all been there. You've been there. You've experienced that. So connecting through the senses, remember that. And when you connect with the senses, they can feel that you're still connected with them. You see them, you're hearing them, you're there for them. Yeah. And then you can offer coping strategies. But before you offer coping strategies, know that we as parents, we need to learn to teach them coping strategies when our children are calm first. Yeah, because in that moment of dysregulation, if we're going to teach them something new, it's not going to be effective because now there's something else they have to pay attention to, and they may not be able to do that. So those coping strategies, we need to teach them that when they are calm. And that's when we have conversations about teaching them about their different emotions, right? And then we can say, hey, when you are feeling this way, there are certain things that we can learn how to do. And we as parents can practice that with them because it will work for us as well in those moments of dysregulation. And we can make it like a play, a game to see what works for us and for our children. So what are those coping strategies? They can be like breathing is a big one. And there's so many kind of breathing exercises. And I've taught that in my past lives as well, like using lion breath, bee breath, making different sound as we're breathing can help a child to calm down. Counting 1 to 10, if your child can count, also helps. Taking a break, going outside for a walk to manage these overwhelming sensations. There are sensations happening in the body that's overwhelming for our children. So teaching them practice these strategies during challenging moments, but also teaching them that before they get to the challenging moments, so that when we've created the safe space, when we've connected with them through the senses, then we can offer those strategies to help them calm down even more. Number 2 is to listen actively. Pay attention to our child's emotions and actively listen to what they're saying, right? They may be coming to us screaming, yelling, but they may be talking as well. So being there and listen. Avoid interrupting or dismissing their feelings. You don't know how many parents, adults I've worked with that have told me this, that when they were children themselves and there was something very upsetting for them, that there was nobody they could go to because nobody wanted to listen, nobody wanted to pay attention to their feelings. So know that if we don't allow our children to express and we're not there to listen, that it does affect them later on in life. And maybe some of you can recognize in your own life when you didn't felt heard, you felt you couldn't express yourself. How is that affecting you today? Yeah. So empathize with their emotions and let them know that you understand how they feel. Yeah. So remember, when our children are experiencing strong emotions, they're looking at us to help them. They want to know that we get it. We get it, how they're feeling. So sometimes as parents, we may not get the whole thing. We don't know what to do, but we can empathize. You know, you've been there yourself. You've felt very strong emotions at time. You know what that's like, right? So when we see our children go through that, we have to let them know that we understand them. So we can use words like, I hear you. If they're expressing it in words, I understand that this is painful for you right now. I know it's frustrating. I know it hurts. I know you're disappointed. I know you're sad that your friend did this. So we can say that again to them as they've calmed down and we've created that safe environment. And so we continue to be there for them. And then they know, oh, mom gets it, or dad gets it. Oh, they're hearing me. They know what I'm going through. So they are going to be able to help me with this. So that leads us to number 3, which is naming and validating the emotions they are experiencing in the moment, especially as if our children are young, we want to repeat that so then they get it. Oh, when I feel this way, that means I'm hurt or I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, and so on and so forth. And that's when they can learn the vocabulary of their emotions. So it's important that we also tune in into what is it that they may be feeling, right? And because this can be challenging for us if we haven't addressed our own emotions that we're feeling, and especially those emotions that has to do with past wounds, we may get really triggered in those moments seeing our children express those emotions. A lot of parents that I've worked with, anger is one main emotion that they find is very triggering for them. And it's triggering because it's touching on their own past emotional wounds. And if in that moment we're triggered, guess what? We're no longer present with our child and we can't create that safe container for them. We can't listen with patience to them. We can't be there for them, right? Because there's so much going on with us. So that's why it's so, so important that we learn how to heal those past wounds so they don't trigger us so much when we're seeing our child experiencing emotions or engaging in a behavior that is upsetting to us. Yeah, so know that's the benefit of doing that inner work so we can be present with our child. So we can help our child understand that their emotions are valid when we help them to name it. And usually when they name the emotion, when the emotion is seen, it doesn't have the same overwhelming power as well, right? So it's valid and it's normal to feel this way. So we can start to soothe our child to say, okay, yeah, my mom or dad, they get it. They know what it is. So I'm feeling now a little bit more safer. And I know that they're going to be able to help me with this. So acknowledge their feelings and letting them know it's okay to feel them is what they need. And we don't want to belittle or invalidate their emotions. Some people are highly sensitive. And so if you have multiple children, you may see that one child is much more sensitive than your other child. And that's what happens a lot in families. To know that, children have different degree of sensitivity. And so sometimes something that may look as minor to us and to others can be a big thing to our child. And so making sure we don't belittle them, if that's the case, that we validate that for them, it's a very strong feeling that's coming up and that it's okay, and not invalidating, their emotions and the degree they are feeling with emotions. And again, here when we validate and we name the emotion, if our child is very young, right? So we can help them name the emotion. But how we want to help them is by kind of asking a question. So you can use words like, I get it. This is hurtful to you, but I wonder, are you frustrated? I wonder if you're sad. I wonder if you're feeling really angry, right? And is that the case? And then they can tell you yes or no. They can even just nod to you. This is what I'm feeling. And so we can suggest, and then we can let them confirm to us. And even if they're older kids, by doing this, we also give them the agency to tell us what is going on and help them continue to express what they're feeling. Because remember, emotions are felt sensations. We feel it on the inside. It's not coming from the outside. And we want to continue to validate our child's emotion until we feel that they've calmed down. Yeah. So that may take 5 minutes. That may take 10 minutes. It may take 20 minutes, but we want to keep that safe environment to be present. We want to keep listening to them. We want to keep validating their emotions until this starts to calm down, and you can offer strategies if you've practiced them with them before. So once they've calmed down, now we can use those moments that they've gone through as teaching moments, right? So that's when we start to educate them about their own emotional intelligence, and we help them regulate, right? So once they calm down, we redirect. Now, we can continue to encourage them to express the emotions. There may be residual sensations still within them after they've calmed down. So we can encourage our child to continue expressing what they felt when they were in that heightened states in healthy ways. If they want to talk and they can talk about it, that's what they can do with you. Or if they're very young, they may want to draw. We can suggest that, hey, maybe do you want to draw about what happened just now? Or they can write about it. They can start to journal if they're a little bit older, right? And that helps them to continue to express what they felt and to see what was happening within themselves, and even describe the sensations that they were feeling in their body. Because when there are strong emotions, when we are getting upset and triggered, we feel this in our bodies. And essentially, when I work with parents, this is the work we do. I ask them, where do you feel the anger when it's coming up for you? Where do you feel the sadness? And a lot of times some people are not able to connect with that. And so it is a learned skill. So if we can help our child learn how to tell what they're feeling when they're feeling different emotions, that they're going to learn, and that's going to stay with them for their entire life. And then we want to ask them, how do you want to solve this? Right? So if there was an issue with a friend that did something, that really upset them, how do you want to solve this right now? Do you want to talk to them, or you want to give it some space and talk to them later about it? Right? If they were doing a project that was frustrating to them and didn't turn out the way that they wanted, that happened to my younger one a few months ago, then I ask him, what do you want to do now? Do you want to redo the drawing, or you want to wait another time? And then you can also let them make the choice, which is important to help them with that sense of agency in those moments. Right. And so this helped them to process their emotions and develop the emotional resilience that our children need to learn. Remember, they're born dysregulated with their emotions, and we as parents have to help them get in touch with their emotions, understanding their emotions, and learning how to regulate. The last thing, maybe last, but very important, is to be a role model. We all feel emotions as humans. Emotions are normal, and we always feel emotions throughout our days, right? So our children learn from us. So model healthy emotional expression by managing our own emotions in a positive way. This is a skill, right? So I know a lot of us, we grew up, nobody modeled anything, right? So you can tell me if that was you, that was me. Emotions were not allowed to be expressed at all, especially with strong emotions of anger, of frustration, of sadness. That was a no-no. So what did I do? I learned to push them down. And so if that was the case for us, we need to learn that skill ourselves. Why? Because our children learn by observing what their caregivers are doing. So when we are upset, they see us doing what we do, and they will learn from us. If we get really upset and we scream and yell, well, guess what? They are going to learn that pattern as well. So learning how to manage your own emotions and your own triggers is very, very important. Not only it's going to feel better for you, but also it's how you're going to model to your children how to regulate emotions. And so knowing if you have challenging times when you're being triggered and you tend to explode with strong emotions, and you know that's something that you don't want to continue doing, that's what needs to be addressed first. Because most of the time, those triggers have to do with past emotional wounds. You know, you've heard me say this through other lives, or you read my post, and you know that, yeah, if there are emotional wounds from the past, when we are triggered, that's what's happening. Those triggers are taking us back to those initial wounds that happened. So if we haven't resolved those, then that's what we need to resolve, because that's what's going to help us manage our emotions and then model the behavior and how we regulate emotions to our children. So otherwise, we're going to repeat that same pattern. You know, it may go well for a little bit, and then boom, we explode, and then we go back again to square one. So break the cycle and learn how to create emotional safety for you and for your children. That is something that is really, really important, especially if we want to continue to develop steady, loving, caring relationship with our children. And we want that to continue in the teenage years and even as they'll become adults, because that's what makes the beauty of it. If we have this connection with our child, not only when they're little, but then later on in life. And so how do I help parents manage emotions is by addressing these three components. And the three components is the trigger, the event that happens that's upsetting to you, the belief we put towards circumstances that upset us, and then the emotions that come up because of the meaning. So in order to change the emotion or even the reaction to the emotion, we really need to address what is the belief that's there? What is the meaning that we're putting to that? And where does that come from, right? And most of the time it comes from those past circumstances that we've experienced as children ourselves that are not resolved. And the name that I put to that is the trigger emotion process, to learn how to map that out. When we map that out, we can see where we are in the present whenever we get triggered. So we know, oh, I'm putting this meaning to it and now I need to change it. And that's what we need to learn. So if you want more information about how to learn to map your trigger emotion process that you usually go through when you get really upset and when you feel out of control and not able to express or manage your own emotions in a healthy way, reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a talk with you and see if that can help you on your journey as a parent. So remember, the 5-step framework is first to create a safe space for your child. Number 2 is to listen so your child feel seen and heard in those moments when they are not knowing what to do and they feel accepted for being a mess because they don't know what to do. Number 3 is to name and validate the emotion to your child so they can feel safe with you and they know that you get it and they know that you'll be able to help them. And so they can calm down. Number 4 is to redirect. Use those moments as teaching moments, right? So if we can shift it and see, okay, whenever our child is dysregulated, those are teaching moments. That's how they're going to learn, right? They have to be messy at the beginning, and then we are going to help them, and then they're going to learn. And then they eventually, as they continue to learn, they'll know how to regulate their own emotions most of the time, right? And they're going to grow up in adults who know how to do that. And then number 5, be that role model for your child, because we are the ones who spend the most time with them and they're watching what we're doing and learning from us. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Again, I'm going to look in the chat. What are the questions, if there are any? Andrea is saying this was behavior I had to learn. I fully understand now that empathy is key. Yes, having the compassion and the empathy in those moments when your child is going through the tantrums or whatever aggressiveness is, they're not doing it on purpose. It's because they don't know how. The emotions are overwhelming their system. Just like when you are really angry yourself and you're not in control, how does that feel for you? And now, can you see what your child is going through? Yeah. And that was me. And as an only girl in Fallbrook, I never felt I could say yes, yes, Andrea. So that was painful for you as a girl with your brothers and not being able to express what you were feeling. And yeah, so I just worked with another client, was the same thing with brothers, and brothers being really aggressive, and she had to defend herself, but there was nobody else around to help her at a very young age, and that can impact us. And then whenever we get upset, when we see our child get aggressive or angry, a lot of those memories are coming back to us and flooding us, because there are some emotional wounds there that haven't been resolved since then. So addressing those wounds is important. And again, this work, I keep repeating it. It doesn't have to take a long time. Actually, it doesn't. It's you learning how to map out your trigger emotion process and practice reframing the meaning you're putting to things. When you reframe, then the emotion will change. And as the emotion change, your reality change. So thank you, everyone, for being present here and listening, even if you're listening on replay. Again, if you need any form or help, or you have any questions, put it in the thread or reach out to me via DM. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, day, or afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. Much love to you.